Hello, hello, hello. You're here watching the first book review for the Literary Dummies web show. It's your host, Alex, and my co-host,
Kevin.
You can follow me at Twitter, on Twitter, at fudge_bars, capital B, capital Z, and Instagram at the same thing, fudge_bars, capital B, capital Z.
And you can follow me on Twitter at Scotty Get Down and on Instagram at Scotty Get Down with 2 N's and the number 1.
So we're here to review our first book from a black indie author by the name of Chase Bolling. It's called The Road of Resistance, first book of the Vanguard. He pegs it, if I was to give it a quick synopsis, it's black fantasy, sci-fi, mixed with, fantasy, sci-fi, some political stuff going on, and all surrounding a black character with all kinds of nerdy references, hip-hop references, even native references that you can shake a maraca at. I feel like that might have been culturally messed up, and I apologize right now, but all I could think of was something that you shake. Maybe like you shake your water bottle when y'all putting something powdery in it. I don't know. I'm just talking at this point. But yes, I think this is Chase's first book. He's an author from Bridgeport, Connecticut.
Yeah.
You can just look up this title on Amazon. Yeah, that's how you can get in touch with Chase. You can follow him on Instagram at chase.bowling.author. I think I may be incorrect, but I'm sure I will have the right place to follow him at in whatever description. So we're gonna get on with the first book review. Ever? Oh, you want to start?
Yeah, I'll start.
Yes.
So I read a lot of fantasy books, a lot of comic books, a lot of sci-fi, stuff like that. As far as books going with, I like the main character wanting peace throughout the entire world. This is the best method of wanting peace in the entire world I've ever seen, and the way it's written is written very fucking well. It starts off with the Pandora. She's a scientist, and she creates a method with, it's a missile that goes in the air.
This is the prologue.
It's a missile that goes in the air, and she fools the other scientists, other military personnel that thought it was missiles that were going to destroy terrorists and whatnot, but it's a missile that when it's dispersed, it destroys all guns. Thought that was beautifully written and it made perfect sense.
Well, not just guns, but like all weapons after, like pretty much any weapon that came after guns were made. For the most part.
All things that can shoot.
Pretty much.
Minus bow and arrows.
Yeah.
So, I thought that was very, very cool. I thought it made perfect sense, and it was really simple.
Yeah, I thought it was kind of realistic. Well, it made perfect sense as an idea.
Made perfect sense as an idea
But
until
you realize ain't no science behind it.
there's no science behind it.
Because like it just all disappeared.
I thought it was gonna be like all tanks, all missiles, all stuff that it targets a specific kind of metal, but all that metal that guns and missiles are made out of could be in your house, and those household items are still there. So it wasn't really much description going on as to why or how. Well, not just how it happened scientifically, but I still rock with it.
Yeah, and Pandora ends up killing herself because the only people that are supposed to know how to turn the weapon off is her and like the president. But she kills herself before she tells the president how to turn it off. So It's just like ass out. And that's the prologue. The story starts 5 minutes later. This happens in like Washington, D.C. The story starts 5 minutes later where we meet our protagonist, Chess. Chess Elias Freeman. What I did not catch originally, and we're gonna discuss this. This is quick. Chess as a character is super Negro. If Catcher Freeman was in a revolution in modern day and just was a fantasy nerd that was half Native American and rapped sometimes and was woke, and everything that like black people ever have been ever,
And built like The Rock.
this would have been him. And it's a great idea. I feel like we might say this a lot, but it's an amazing idea. An amazing idea. It's a great way to attempt to show that black people aren't a monolith. But in a lot of ways, you're just trying to show too much. So, we're introduced to chess, and like within 5 minutes of all the weapons disappearing, the internet goes down for like 5 minutes. So this is like 10 minutes after the prologue. The internet goes down, and what happens after the internet? It's been.
I have to say this. I've wanted to say this. The first thing Chess does when the internet goes down, he even says, couldn't be anything wrong with my internet. He says it must be an attack, and we have to plan. I've been planning this for years, and this is something that we have to capitalize on and go out and get supplies and whatnot. The first thing he should have done is call Comcast or Verizon. He didn't even call him. His internet was out for 5 minutes, and he just knew. He just knew that it was going to be on. He just knew that as soon
super
as
psychic nigga.
he knew as soon as everyone else realized the internet was gone and their guns weren't working, their technology wasn't working, that it was going to be a fight for survival. And there's a book. It's going to be a fight for survival. I thought that was odd. I laughed at it. I thought it was funny. I thought that might have been a comedy part of the book. But right away, it's like, Khalees is his wife. Khalees, we gotta go. It's some big stuff going on. Our internet been out for 5 minutes. We gotta go. We gotta go out of here. She didn't even say, "Did you pay the bill?" She's like, "Okay."
Yeah, she has a wife named Khaleesi. There's a lot of fantasy and nerdy references in this book. We'll speak on some of them later, but let's just start with the beginning of the plot. So now, obviously,
There's a book.
So,
There it is.
we lit. So, obviously, you know, we're 5 minutes in, everything turned off. Oh, snap, the revolution coming. In the next 10 minutes, you can call, what, like 4 cousins off rip.
And June, his best friend
He can
June.
call his best friend June. Who else? Does he call Alex? He calls Alex.
And his brother Denzel.
I forgot about his brother Denzel. But he calls some friends and they go to get supplies at all the stores. And like the first couple stores they run to, like they start looting immediately.
Yep.
So 15 minutes into the book, everybody is looting because the internet out. It's wild, but at the same time it might not be. You know, if the real internet just go out one day, Americans might say like, you know.
Maybe.
So, you know, he go out all looting, and every store they run into is just people there ready to fight. Now, mind you, Chess is not only super strong, super smart, can rap. I'm not gonna say he got bars right now. He can rap. We'll talk about that later. He studies old school battle tactics, like battle tactics, how to use weapons, how to make pretty much weapons. So like they're running into Home Depot, so maybe you might not have a sword, but you got the equivalent. And they run into like 4 or 5 stores to get supplies, and every store ends up with people that just want to fight. Like there's people looting, and they tell them like, yo, through all this looting, y'all can get what y'all want, we can get what we want. And they're like, no, we about to fight you.
And most of them are white supremacists. No matter where he goes, it is some nigga haters and queer chasers. Everywhere he goes. Every store he goes. And they yelling out niggas. Every store he goes. I thought that was a little odd. I'm not familiar with Bridgeport, Connecticut. That's where the first couple stores they loose are. It could be that racist. I don't know.
So it's just early. Throughout time, there's just more of that. Eventually, everything, you know, after the first few nights, you looted everything. Okay, now we got to start rebuilding because the country can't get back on its feet without having weapons. See, that's what y'all don't understand. Y'all I want to have my own shotgun. I want to have my own assault rifle. None of that shit is going to matter if a tank comes down the street.
Mm-hmm.
Like, none of it. You're not going to have...
There's a book again.
You're not going to have what you need if the government really just wanted to fuck people up. This is just a fact. So, but it's a completely level playing field. Nobody has anything. So what's the first thing they do? He get him and his homies together. It ends up being like 20 of them off rip. Like, you go from 5, and then they just know like another 4 people, and then those people know 4 people, and then just throughout the time they all start pulling up. And by the end of the night, first few nights of the revolution at this point, they take over a police station.
Yep. And they start going from police station to police station, and they fight. It's like I saw some video game references. It's kind of like a video game with a boss battle at the end. The boss battle, the first one is like one of the police chiefs. Well, I'm not even sure if he was actually a police chief or he was the oppressor's appointed chief. But Chess goes in there and just kills everybody with his people.
The battle scenes are amazing.
They're great.
Great.
But he kills everybody.
There's a lot of them.
Yeah, and he has a whole bunch of references. He has a Ronin. That's how I knew this guy was a nerd, a black nerd, because he has a Ronin Warriors reference. I like Ronin Warriors too, and a Gundam Wing reference. Both of those came out in like 95, 96. And he mentions a lot of weapons like Autumn Dow, Kondo swords, stuff like that. That everybody has. I like that everyone has something different. Every one of the characters has a different weapon. It wasn't just axe. It was he has Autumn Dow. He has Kondo swords. There were no nunchucks, which I was disappointed about. I wanted to see nunchucks with some spikes on the end of it. That's fine. I was disappointed in that, but it was still a good. Every battle was good. Every weapon you named was good, which I know he did. He did his homework on weapons. Period. He probably owns a lot of these weapons.
Yeah. Yes. If you look at his Instagram, you can definitely see him doing some work to represent some of the characters within the book. It's pretty dope.
And he does do a good job of setting the scenes. I didn't know what year it was either, but it's post-Obama, post-Trump era, but he still has a lot of Obama laws in play. Like the emergency preparedness law, he makes sure he describes that in the book. And one thing I thought was odd was, and it's just like, maybe towards the middle of the book, no one died on screen, maybe if you want to say on screen.
We can get to that. We still got certain aspects of the plot. So in the first night they take a police station, and then just throughout time, the initial beef is with the different police precincts that they're around. As time goes on, they start getting higher up. You got to start taking different places in the city. They end up taking over the city. Now, throughout the process of this, they run into a few different villains. The first villain cannot think of his name, but he's Russian, some kind of Russian Viking-inspired type of white supremacist. I liked it because, there's a lot of these white supremacist groups that's different, and you gotta know the enemy. So a guy who's a Viking type white supremacist is not gonna show it the same way a Klansman gonna show it. We're not gonna show it the same way a Nazi gonna show it. So this idea of physically fighting different white supremacist factions was great. And this first villain that he introduces is great. Got me really excited for him. Because at this point, we have already been introduced to like 15 characters. There's a lot of characters in this book. A lot of characters in this book. You're getting new characters from page 1 to the damn near the very last page. And they're really easy to get jumbled up. I like 3 that I can name off top. Some of them I really don't like that I can remember. But I like Starvos because he uses a hammer. And he's compared to Robert Baratheon. If you know Game of Thrones, you know Robert. I like Alex because his name's Alex, and because he's like comedic relief, and he's Chess's nephew. Get back to that. So yeah, they take on this first villain who's like a Viking, and they handle him, and he was a great villain, but he lasts for like
5 seconds.
5 seconds.
Chess dodges a couple times. He dodges all of his attacks. Has a shield.
Both.
Sorry. He has a shield. His sword, which he names Defiance. I think he swings it one time and kills him.
And I really wish that wouldn't happen because he was probably my favorite villain. And this happened so early, and he was still my favorite villain at the end of the book. And then pretty much for the rest of the book, that's what happens. They take over their city, and they pretty much go from taking over just Bridgeport to taking over the entire state and setting up different camps. And every time they go to a camp, they pull up on different types of white supremacy. Sometimes it's rich mayoral types that had slaves because they had money. Sometimes it's, I guess, what Connecticut redneck types would be that are just ignorant. Some of them can fight, some of them can't fight. And that's pretty much we're setting up our own world, we're getting our own world going, and then we're taking another step to either defend ourselves or go fight something. It's like every chapter, it's like a 3-chapter kind of cycle. Fight, come back, smoke a blunt. We're gonna talk about that in a second. Have sex with my wife and this other random reporter chick. Talk about that in a second, and go back out to fight. And this happens repeatedly. And throughout this time, he establishes a society. And it works. Like, I would tell you specifics, but the fact that pretty much everything works from inception, you don't need to know a lot of specifics.
This is Wakanda.
Pretty much.
This is Wakanda.
Wakanda in Connecticut. Like, if somebody just killed a bunch of white supremacists and was like, yo, we can really make Wakanda in Connecticut, this is kind of how I feel like it would happen.
But
so after this happens for a while, throughout the time of, throughout all this time, we're introduced to a few characters that really matter, and we learn some things about Chess. One is that he's very spiritual. Even though he's not a Christian, he's spiritual. And that he meets these 2 African people who really support what he's doing, and like they pretty much take on the spiritual advisor role, but he does not call them a spiritual advisor. They just look out for him and his family while he's gone, because he has 2 kids. Like, you kind of hear about him. It's cool that he got 2 kids, but all right, it's nice that he's a black family man. He got a wife and kids taken care of. Boom. So where was I, Kevin?
Characters.
I know I was at characters.
I can go with
yeah, he has the pastor at the church guy who's for all intents and purposes his spiritual advisor, but he doesn't call him.
Very supportive. He's probably the most supportive person in the book to Chess.
Next to his wife.
Yeah.
But he doesn't call him his spiritual advisor. And then another guy comes out who says, yo, you need to let me be your spiritual advisor. So Chess kind of plays with him. All right, whatever. Finds out that guy's homophobic. And he just like, all right, I'm going to keep him at bay. After this happens, guess what? Chess goes out, fights some more. Boom. Every villain is different. It's like you said earlier. It's like a video game.
Every boss is different.
It's like a bunch of small battles, big boss. Small battles, big boss. And because it happens so quick, you don't really have enough time. And there's so many characters, you don't really have enough time to care about a lot of them. And some of them are great ideas. It's just amazing. Like I said, I love Starbucks. I love Alex. Khaleesi was cool. Even though I wish you would have taken either she gonna be a badass warrior or she gonna stay home and really be the builder of society. You could have went either way with that. It was a lot of let's work it all into one character, and you don't gotta do that to make somebody not look like a monolith.
Yep. There were a lot of characters, and the character that stood out to me was June, because I'm a big Lord of the Rings fan, and I remember there's a Legolas reference, and he does use a bow and arrow. He never gets touched. That's like Lord of the Rings. Legolas never gets touched in all 6 movies. So it's just, that's June. He's like, that's his best friend, and he's in every chapter. I remember him specifically because he's the only character I believe that is in every chapter and has dialogue, and he, like I say, he never misses, never gets touched. Some people might not like that. I like that because, like I said, I like Legolas.
It would be cool if he never misses, never gets touched. Because June was out there. He was definitely out there.
Yeah.
He was definitely nice with the arrow. Was leading the whole squads. Because, like, yeah, they set up a whole military, and because all of them are nerds and have been nerds forever, they've known how to use weapons. They were nerdy, gangster, street athletes. That was woke. They did everything. It was like a team of super Negroes. Which, I mean, I like, but I still need I need more. There was just a lot of it saying this is a lot of potential, but we need more.
Let's talk about the emotional aspect of the book. Did you feel any emotions for anyone, any scene in particular?
There's one, like I said, I like the battles, and there's one battle where I was really like, oh shit, something might go wrong. When he gets pulled off the wall. It's later in the book.
Right.
And Chess and them guys are like fighting from, they had the high ground in so many ways. And like there's a bunch of guys trying to get up at them, and they pull Chess down. And this is way after like Chess has become famous. Because throughout all of this rebellion, you know, it's still set in close enough to a modern time that, you know, he can get back online and he can use his social media. The news is following him.
Because the internet starts working again.
Yeah, the internet starts working again. The media gets out there. The news starts following the story. Apparently, after every battle, there's like a party where he raps, King Chess Bitch, King Chess Bitch.
Yeah.
Yes, that's part of the bars. We will discuss the rapping in a moment. But yeah, he just, the one scene is they pull him off and like he kind of goes crazy and kills everybody he needs to kill in that moment.
And then his team comes down and finishes off the rest of them.
He gets bruised ribs. That's the worst fucking injury he takes throughout the entire book.
And there is one, I don't know if you remember Terrell.
Yes.
Okay, well, Terrell, like I think it's like early, like chapter, like before even 10, he dies. But there's no scene with him dying in it though.
He just,
he's dead. Dude, I was waiting for one of them to die so I could feel something. Oh man, it's real. Like they're actually in trouble. But I didn't feel the whole time reading the book. I didn't feel like anybody was in trouble because they were just like Batman. All of them could fight like Batman.
If Melanin really got superpowers, that nigga had all of them.
Yes.
He was the like greatest Negro of all time.
Like he was Superman, and then everybody else was like Martian Manhunter. Like they were all, or even Cyborg.
So
like,
then we get towards the end of the book because there's really not much to throw out except for there was battles, there was fucking, and there was weed, and there was parties where King Chess raps. It's pretty much, and there's 800 other characters and then another battle.
mm-hmm.
And like they are rebuilding society, like there's kind of like socialist aspects to the society. They put people in a position where everybody gets a job. There was one thing that I liked and didn't like at the same time, and this could be because I'm somebody who went to college and have like a liberal arts degree. I like the fact that he said the city needed to stress more trades. But I didn't like the fact that it was like at no point in time did you only really had like one moment where art mattered. And that was when the whole art was like, it was one sigil for like the king. It was like, yo, you still need you need a culture that's building more than just we're making flags.
Right.
And you're rapping randomly. So, apparently it's a callback to the beginning. I don't even know if Chase knew he did this. But we get a little bit more into the psychic abilities of King Chess after he becomes King Chess.
Break it down, because I'm not following this one.
First off, he knew the revolution was coming because the internet was out.
Right, got that one.
Then we get told later in the books that he's just seen different types of birds as omens for us.
The birds, yes.
But it like randomly shows up. Like, it was just really random. So he sees the omen, and I'm thinking, oh, he's gonna lose the next battle. Doesn't lose the next battle at all. Instead, he just kind of like ties. Like, not even ties, like, it's just a harder battle. They take more casualties than normal. So then, towards the end of the book, we're getting to the end, because this is like the next really, really important thing. And we don't know that we're getting to it. So, towards the end, they've like taken over the entire state of Connecticut. Their group known as the Vanguard. They have like little pockets just throughout different places in America. So Chess is like trying to figure out ways he can send resources and people to train them, because they've been training people. They've been winning battles and getting soldiers and getting citizens and just teaching them how to be amazing. So now it's like, okay, we can take this to other states and deal with their white supremacy. Woo! And they're back. They're having like the ultimate celebration. And Chess sees a flock of blackbirds, and he's coming with the pastor guy who asked to be the spiritual advisor. He asks, and you're walking with him, and as soon as he starts walking with him and you see the blackbirds, you start yelling, okay, Chess, what is the point of, we know that you know blackbirds are a bad omen. You've never trusted this pastor, and you're going to follow him with not even that many of your men and none of your armor.
Yep.
And it ends with Chess getting clocked over the head. Yep. We don't know that he's dead, and there's going to be more books. So I don't know if Chess is coming back. And I mean, that's a good cliffhanger to leave on. Don't get me wrong.
That was the emotional scene, if there was ever going to be one. Because remember, all the people he brought with him died. All of them died. Even though they still killed them. It was like 5 of them versus like 30 people. They still killed like 25 of them.
Barely got, and he had to like get poisoned. Like, he got poisoned before going to meet the pastor guy. And then in the process, they fucked up half the squad. Just wasn't. But yeah, overall, I really felt like there was great potential here. As a first book for an indie author, I thought this was an excellent attempt. There's definitely some rough around the edges. The editing is not great, and I'm not a grammar guy. Like, I have terrible grammar, so I don't like to tell people their grammar is not good, but there's a lot of stuff that needs to be edited down to, I don't think there was really any paragraphs throughout most of the book. Like, there's not
no indents.
Yeah, I don't. That's what I mean. There's no indents at all. Like, at no point does he indent a paragraph. There's some stuff that I can tell just like in formatting it got messed up, but there's some stuff that is just like, that's a typo you could have caught. And I would say if you can pay for somebody to edit it, do it. But I understand if you can't pay for it, because niggas ain't got money like that. Because if somebody with bad grammar, I don't have the money to really pay for somebody to edit my shit. So, but I'm just saying that's a possibility for the next book. If you can save up from this, that's something that you could put that money to.
Yeah. Overall, I enjoyed the book. There's a lot of things that I thought could have been a little bit better, but it's your first book. But I really enjoyed all the nerd references. A lot of references. I thought some references could have been a little better instead of just stating the name of the anime. But I got all the references, probably every single one in the book. I got them.
I got a few. Some I liked. Some you could have done better. Like, like I said before, I loved Stargos being like Robert Baratheon and choosing to fight with a hammer when everybody else fought with swords. But immediately you say he's like Robert Baratheon. You should have just gave him the hammer and then made him the character that was trying to smash everything and always drunk. It would have had the same effect, and probably a stronger effect that would have made, you could have took more time with that character that would have made us feel something for him.
I like the slang in the book also. There's some slang. Yeah, sorry. Some of the slang I liked.
Would prefer not niggas with a Z.
Yeah, nigga ass.
That was good on niggas. Unless there's a reason you do it, because I got fudge bar. There's a reason that I have a capital Z in fudge bar. So if you got a reason to spell niggas like that, cool. But I was not rocking with niggas.
I like to turtle up. Turtle Up is like when he was in the phalanx formation, which I got that. I watched a lot of war stuff. And he said turtle up. Means put your shields up.
Yeah.
I got that. I like that. I'm going to say turtle up a lot.
Oh, God.
As far as defensive stuff, when I'm playing video games, I'm going to yell on the mic, turtle up. And be mad, but no one understands it.
But, yeah, overall, I would recommend it just to support a young black author, but understand it's still going to be rough. But there's a lot of potential there. I give this like a 3 out of 5. I hope for what it is. I hope that you continue with this and that they do get better. But I gotta be honest with you, and this is coming from somebody who's read a lot of books that had music in it, and we're gonna be talking about one later. All that rap shit was corny, my nigga. I like King Chess Bitch. Like, I will say that I have walked around saying King Chess Bitch from the moment that he rapped the first time. But some of it is the formatting doesn't make it enjoyable to read, and it's just hard to translate rap to the page in that manner. And it's hard to do it with music in general in books. And because you do a lot of like what's supposed to be him freestyling, it makes it harder for somebody to want to go back and remember, and they don't come attached with anything. Like, you are the author likes Game of Thrones. There's a whole story behind the song The Winds of Castamere where Tywin Lannister did some gangster shit. Even if you don't like the song, once you find, or you don't pay attention to the song, once you find out about the story, it's like, oh, that song automatically fire because it comes behind the gangster story. Also, I am a person that enjoys marijuana, but there was way too much blunts, too many blunts in this book.
At every battle.
After every battle, every morning,
Yep, every morning,
every break, somebody like this nigga just smoked the blunt. And it wasn't that it was too much. There was no reason for it most of the time. It wasn't even like to come home and relax. Like, there's a rule called show don't tell. You don't have to say Chess came home, took off this piece of armor, took off this piece of armor, went into the bathroom, wiped himself off, came out, lit up a blunt, laid down, got in the bed, fell asleep. You can just say, after a long day, Chess prepared himself for sleep with a spliff, boom. And we done got everything that you would say so much. So I would say definitely work on that. Work on dialogue. Cut back on some of the characters. Work on point of view. Give us some of your best chapters were the quick ones that would be from somebody who wasn't Chess's point of view. And that would help you as far as making this series go longer if you got more characters that you can go to and different points of views to rock with. That's why Game of Thrones is great, because you got to jump around from all the houses. But yeah, support Chase Bolling, The Road of Resistance, first book of the Vanguard. Thank you for watching. Hopefully we'll get better at this over time.